Hey guys, welcome back to the anime podcast Frenzy. This is Elijah, and today we're talking about all 7 manga which I've read. Yes, all 7 of them. I don't have the top 10 list compiled because I haven't even read 10 different manga. I've read 7, and in reality, only 5 of those I've completed. One of them I'm reading at the moment, and the other one which I've nearly finished reading, but I thought it was so great that I wanted to own the entire collection before I even finished it, and I wanted to read it through again. So, let's get into this list. So, first off, I'm going to state Bakuman. Oh, fuck. Actually, I forgot one. I actually have watched 8. I read 8. Anyway, so first one's Bakuman. Bakuman is the story about the 2 teenagers who want to become mangakas, which manga writers in Japan. Anyway, so the story depicts how the mysteries behind making a manga, what goes into it, how the process works, and all of that, which is really interesting. It really captured my attention. But they threw. This is going to go along with what I said last week about how romance really influences. The romance generally really influences a lot of my favorite tastes in anime and manga. Bakuman has a really interesting romance plot line thrown into it, and it's got a really innocent love behind it. Like, you just have to read to understand, but it's really sweet and it's really interesting. I really enjoy reading Bakuman, not just for the romance, even though I love romance. It's the story in itself of making manga and the trials I face and trying to make one that's popular, that's in the top manga for the Shonen magazine. And it's really interesting. I recommend that everyone reads it. Why am I saying watching anyway? Now I'm going to just move on to Attack on Titan. This is in any order of how I've heard them or any alphabetical or anything like that. Attack on Titan, I thought was going to be the best shit I had ever read. Mainly because of all the hype surrounding the anime. And everyone saying the anime was amazing, it was all this. And then I read the manga, and I'm not saying the manga was bad or anything, I'm not saying, it was a bit disappointing from all the hype, which is to be expected, because when there's a lot of hype surrounding something, and then you enter it yourself, enter into that manga or anime yourself, the hype doesn't live up to the anime doesn't live up to the expectations of the hype, which is what Attack on Titan had. Attack on Titan is it's a very complicated story, and I appreciate that because there's so many mysteries surrounding the entire manga, and as you read through the manga, you start going, well, am I rooting for the good guys or am I rooting for the bad guys? Who should I be supporting in this? And it really allows you to think about it. I think that's what a lot of people like about it, because you can have all these different theories to it, and you don't know if you're going to be right or wrong. And Attack on Titan, the art style, I liked. It was dark. It was, as I would like to say, messy, but when I say messy, I don't mean it was bad. I mean, like, it complemented the dark art style, which allowed it to show a world which has many secrets behind it and is a lot darker than what it may appear on the outside. So that's my sort of view on Attack on Titan. If you want to know more about that, read my review on it on my website. Anyway, so moving on to Plus Anima. Now, I read this last year, and so Plus Anima, it was interesting, I guess. I mean, you have kids with these powers to turn into animals. Well, they had animal-like qualities to them. And they're hunted by the rest of the world because they're not accepted, because they can be seen as, they can start a riot, or to be honest, I can't remember the full depths of the story. But it was basically you got a bunch of kids who have animal-like quality powers to them, and they're hunted by the army and all that because the government fears them, and they fear that if these Anima children decide to lead a rebellion, then then who's going to stop him? Sort of thing. So that's what Plus Aim was like. It was interesting to read, but the ending for it was really like, is that actually the ending, or is there more to it? I was kind of confused about the ending. Like, I understand it all ended on a happy note and everything, but it just sort of ended in a bad way. Bokura wa Minna Kawaii So. So I reviewed this last week, and this is my favorite manga I've ever read. Like, I originally Bakuman was my favorite, but this just takes the cake in a romance type style of manga. It's brilliant. It's still publishing. It's brilliant. But it doesn't have it's not complicated. It's none of that, but it just shows the struggles, I guess you could say, of trying to start a relationship with someone who you effectively already live with. And, I can't say much because I'll spoil everything. But a lot of, you got pretty much this girl who's very introverted. She loves reading books and all that, and this new, guy who happens to be a kuhai they go to the same school, moves into the apartment complex. And when I say apartment complex, it's actually just like one building and they all live under the same roof and they eat together and all of that. And he really likes this girl, and he's trying to become closer to her so they can have a relationship. It's really sweet, and there are times when the relationship isn't he's not going too well with trying to get their friendship to get closer, and it's really amazing to read because you get so caught up into the story, and it's really fun. It's fun to read, and the art style isn't exactly the most detailed. It's not exactly the most impressive art style, but they put emphasis on character profiles, on certain character profiles in certain panels, which makes it really, 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 sorry for saying really so many times, it makes it just makes it so much more impressive just to read it and to look at it, because a lot of times there'll be profiles of oh shoot, I forgot her name. I already read it last week. Of the girl character, Kawaii. That's her last name at least. And it just outlines how beautiful she actually is, and it makes you realize why this guy likes her. And it's just really cool. Moving on, the next two are very similar. The Kami-sama no Iritori and Kami-sama no Iritori ni. Now, Kami-sama no Iritori, it's 21 chapters, very short manga. I thought it was outstanding. It really showed its true colors in its artwork, and that's what I liked about it, because you see these facial expressions, and they put so much detail in the facial expressions, and you're just stuck looking at these facial expressions, and you're just like, fuck, man. Fuck, I'm tripping balls here, sort of thing. And those expressions and the depths of everyone happening and what's happening in the story, it's really interesting. My only complaint about Kami-sama no Iritori is that it's effectively Cube, the horror movie. That's effectively what it is, except with a different twist. It's not exactly the same, but the whole idea of the story is very similar. They're stuck in a game. They don't know why they're stuck in this game. Just like Cube. And that's my only complaint with Kami-sama no Iritori. But Kami-sama no Iritori ni improves upon that. It's not like that. They focus on the kids who didn't go to school on that day. And it just makes it so much more interesting, because since it's a lot longer and still publishing as we speak, they have a lot more time to build up characters. Like, I thought Ushimitsu, who is effectively the I can't remember his name from the original, but he's not afraid of killing anyone. He's kind of weird. He will use other people to achieve his goals. And you think, shit, I hate this guy. I really do. He's not cool. He really isn't cool. But then you learn his backstory, and you're just like, oh shit, man. Fuck. He's actually the best character. And you read his backstory, and your whole mentality on him changes. And it's like, shit, man, he's the best character in his entire manga. But they develop these characters, and the artwork is just as good. And the story is even better, in my opinion, to be honest. Because they did have so much more to work with. They had a lot more time to work with it, so they could develop characters, they could develop story, they can do all these sort of things. And it was so much different to the original. And when I wrote the synopsis and read about it in the same time period, I thought, oh no, here we go, it's gonna be the exact same story events as the original. But it's nothing like that, and that's what I really enjoyed, because they focus on a completely different section of this entire story, giving it another layer of depthness. Moving on to Coppelion, that's what I'm reading at the moment, and I'm fourth volume? Am I fourth volume into it? I'm volume 4 into it, and I'm volume 4, part 2, chapter 14, if that makes any sense to you, because it doesn't really make any sense to me. You're gonna have to trust me on that. But, so pretty much, Japan had an earthquake in Tokyo, and nuclear reactor broke, sort of thing, and radiation spread through all Tokyo, and so now 20 years later, they're sending in this unit called the Coppelion, which are humans that are genetically engineered to have antibodies against radiation. So they're not affected by radiation at all. And so they're going to Tokyo, there's 3 girls, they're going to Tokyo to see if there's any survivors, because there's a distress beacon that's fired. So they're going to find survivors, and as they find survivors, more troubles come across their way. And as I'm reading it at the moment, I like it, I really do. It's an interesting story. Even though it's kind of like Dead Man Wonderland in a way. Japan had a massive earthquake, and Tokyo is pretty much gone, effectively. But they have the biggest prison in Tokyo. It's kind of similar to that, but their twist on it is completely different. Like, Dead Man Wonderland focuses on a prison, and these prisoners who have special powers. Coppelion is completely different. It's a post-apocalyptic, not post-apocalyptic. It kind of is post-apocalyptic, but only in Tokyo, and it focuses on an actual real-life situation which could actually happen, except for the Coppelion, who are immune to radiation, but if it wasn't for them, the whole story wouldn't be as interesting. And so, I thought, when I saw 260 chapters, I'm just like, shit, son, I'm not gonna get through this and be interested in it. But that's when I first started reading, because I thought, well, if it's just getting survivors, then how much could they really spend on the entire story? How can they spend all this time on the story unless more nuclear reactors go down? But but they actually spend like 10, 15 chapters. I'm making up numbers here. I'm not too sure how long they spend per story. So story arc. I'm gonna call them story arcs. But they're more or less per survival story. And they spend a good maybe 10, 15 chapters per set of survivors. And they go through all these troubles, but the survivors, they kind of want to be rescued, but they don't, because even though Tokyo is a hellhole that no one would want to live in, it's also the most freeing place you can live in, because there's no government to control them, there's no taxes, and there's no society, effectively. They're on their own, they can do whatever they want. And it's actually really cool, because you go through the motions, like there's prisoners I come across that have killed people, and they're like, I don't want to go into a world where I'm just going to be incarcerated again. I want to be in this world where I can still live freely and live with the sins which I've committed in the past. And you run across into scientists who've worked on the nuclear reactor, and they're just like, I've caused this problem on Tokyo. I have to stay here and help the other survivors. And you just read through it, and it's a lot of stories about people who don't really want to move on yet. They want to stay in Tokyo because it's something they have to do. And it's actually really interesting. The artwork's pretty cool as well. I like the artwork. The artwork, it's kind of basic, but it's also detailed at the same time. And it suits this style because as I'm reading through it, there's parts which I read really quickly because that's how the story's going. They're in the middle of a really important action. Maybe they're fighting against enemies or something like that. And it's really important and the speed is going fast, so you end up reading it faster. So when I write my reviews, I got sucked into the story and I was moving at the pace of the story. When I say that, I mean I read it at the pace that what's happening in the story is moving at. So if say it was an anime, right? And say 3 pages were an action scene, that would be going fairly fast if it was an anime. Like, all of those movements would be going really fast. That's how I'm reading it. I'm reading it fast because that's the scene, that's what the scene is. It's a fast scene, it's an action scene, so it's meant to go fast. That's how I'm reading it. And so I feel that maybe people get confused with my explanation there. But that's what I mean. I read at the pace. Like, if it's a slow part, maybe they're doing Night Watch, I'll read a lot slower than I would at an action part because that's the pace that's intended for me to read it at. Moving on, we got Death Note. Now, Death Note's pretty cliche. I've actually got the entire Death Note Black Edition, which is 6 volumes, but it's got 2 volumes per volume, so it's technically 12 volumes. But I read that, and I liked it. The artwork was really good. I really enjoyed the artwork. The story, so there's a lot of hype surrounding Death Note. Death Note's one of the best manga ever. And there's a lot of hype surrounding Death Note. I didn't really care about the hype when I read Death Note. It was definitely a good manga. I'm not gonna lie there, it was definitely good. But, I think they could have stopped after the first major arc. So if you describe Death Note into 2 arcs, there's 2 arcs. There's the first arc and the second arc. The first arc was by far the best arc. But there's so much controversy on the ending of it that it kind of makes it unenjoyable to sort of read it or watch it. Because everyone either disagrees or agrees with a certain opinion of what should have happened at the end, that there's no point even trying to discuss it with someone because you're most likely going to have a different opinion. And then the second half, everyone agrees the second half was nowhere near as good. But when I read the ending for the second half, I was disappointed. It wasn't the one ending I wanted. And that's kind of the way would look at the first arc. The first arc, you'd say a lot of people it didn't go the way people wanted. That's me for the second arc. It didn't go the way I wanted. But sure, a bit of the explanation of the ending was a bit bullshit and was a bit, he just did this and so that's what led us to do this sort of thing. It's kind of bullshit, but it's really clever. They really do it in a clever fashion. And so I don't say it was a bad ending, it just wasn't the ending I wanted. That's how I'm going to explain that, because a lot of people just go like, oh no man, that was the best ending ever. It's difficult with a manga like this, because it's a lot of controversy. What I wish is that people just agree to disagree and just say it's amazing, and that each arc ending goes either way. But that's never going to happen in anything ever, so I can't just sit here dreaming. Unfortunately, that's all I've got time for today. Oh, well, that's all I've read so far for today. But thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. And remember, if you want to read my reviews, you can go to www.animereviewfrenzy.wordpress.com, and you can check out my selection of anime reviews and manga reviews. For manga reviews, we've got reviews such as Kami-sama no Irutori and Kami-sama no Irutori ni. We've also got Attack on Titan and Bokura Mina Kwaiso. For anime, we have a lot more selection for anime. We've got Akame ga Kill, we've got Beelzebub, we've got Champion, we got Daybreak Illusion, we got Sekitai Yakuin Domo and Sekitai Yakuin Domo second season. We also have Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. So make sure to drop by and read some of our reviews. If you don't really want to read our reviews, then we got other posts that we do, like such as the podcast. We post this on the website as well every week. We've also got a guide on Monday. It's a very inaccurate guide, and you shouldn't follow it to heart unless you do absolutely nothing all day. But it's a guide which allocates 8 hours a day to either reading manga or anime. And you can split that up into any way you want to, and you can read it any fashion you want to. So you could say, oh, instead of spending 8 hours, I'm going to spend 2 hours. That's how I would like people to interpret that. On Tuesdays we have a blog which I write, and it's just me talking about maybe one thing. I'll talk about one thing for about a paragraph, and I'll discuss anime that I've watched throughout the week and manga that I've watched. On Thursdays, we got a list of all the anime that's been released that we're updating every week. So there's about maybe 40 anime that's added to it every week. And so if you want to start watching anime in release order, then that's perfect. That's what you should use to help you. Unfortunately, maybe some of the anime, maybe from like 1960, you probably won't find, which is really disappointing. But well, I mean, you might not be able to find online, but maybe if you looked at some like secondhand stores or some tip shops or something, like, you might be able to find them. I don't know. I haven't tried. Maybe if you went to a garage sale, you might find a VCR, and then you have to find a VCR player. But that's enough of that. And so we've also got our reviews on Wednesdays and Fridays, which I might be changing because I don't get a lot of time to read the manga for a Friday review, and for the past couple of weeks I've been pretty late on those. So I might change it to maybe a Sunday. Either way, thank you for listening. Remember to like us on Facebook so then you can get updates on whether I'm going to be late on an update, or whenever I post something on onto the website, it goes straight to the Facebook page. And guys, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.